Hey there. So today we are going to be talking about, can you see the greasy stuff on my face? I'm going to be taking makeup off and then putting skincare on. And I'm going to show you what I do if I'm being fancy or being plain. And that's what we're talking about today. Hey, I'm Amy, and this is where we have fun and experiment with makeup, style, confidence, and mindset. All right, let's get to it. So I've already put on one of my plain things that I do to take off makeup. It's coconut oil. It's just coconut oil. And for a while it was kind of funny because I was like $8 for a jar of coconut oil. But then when you think about what you pay for skincare products, $8 is nothing. Plus this big jar lasts forever. Also, I know exactly what's in it. One thing, cold pressed, unrefined organic coconut oil. That's it, just coconut oil. So I know there's not some pesky ingredient that, might do something to me. Now I know some people are like, "Ooh, doesn't that clog your pores?" It doesn't clog my pores. I can't speak for you. I also have a friend who is allergic to coconut oil. So just be careful with that. Even though, it's organic and just one ingredient, you want to test that as well. So I've slathered it all over my face. And then what I use is either one of these makeup removing pads or a Norwex cloth that's for skin. Now, I suppose if I were going to be extra plain, I wouldn't have put the coconut oil on first and just used one of these, either my Norwex cloth or this. What I like about these is obviously you can wash them and reuse them. So that makes me feel good. Now, I am not opposed to cotton balls, and in fact, we'll be using cotton balls later. For right now, I've got it all over my face, not on my eyes though, because even though I love this new mascara that I've gotten from the dollar store, if you haven't seen that, I'll link that. It is it wants to stay. It wants to stay. It doesn't want to let go. And so I have to do a few things with it if I'm going to remove it. So we're just not going to do that today. Careful there. Yeah, and just so you know, I've wet this before I'm taking it all over my skin. So just warm water. I've wet it. Now, this is pretty good. And I don't know if you can see, like, yeah, some stuff, but I can still see coconut oil on my face. So then I do come back with sort of a toner type of extra cleanser. What I didn't say is if I'm being fancy with taking the makeup off, I'm never fancy with taking the makeup off. That's the one thing I'm not fancy with ever. It's not like I use anything. I think my mom used to use Noxema. You remember Noxema? That's kind of fun. If I'm being fancy with taking my makeup off, I'm going to use Garnier. The micellar cleansing water just on a cotton ball. If I am being plain, I am using apple cider vinegar mixed with water. This looks pretty gross. It's because I keep reusing this bottle. So I'll take apple cider vinegar, fill it to about here, and then add filtered water to the rest of this. Sometimes I might put a tiny drop of peppermint in there just for an extra little oomph. So again, just with a cotton ball, and we're going to see both sides. I'm going to just show you both sides. So if I'll do the micellar water on this side. And just wiping that across my face, trying to not drag too much and down my neck. There's that. Now, of course, I still have the other side, so I'm just going to go over it once more. There we go. Got a little bit more with that. Now for the apple cider vinegar. The thing with apple cider vinegar, don't think that you're going to smell like vinegar. The smell dissipates, and the smell actually neutralizes other smells. I don't know if that's scientific. I may have just made it up, but I believe it to be true, and that's what I'm going with. Which is why I'll tell you a double secret trick. Sometimes I use apple cider vinegar if I just need to freshen up. Like under my arms. Just to be completely honest, I use a paper towel or a washcloth. I wet it. I put my apple cider vinegar and water on it. I wipe down, let that dry, and then I reapply my deodorant. And that is what I do. So there's the apple cider vinegar. Now I still have the other side. Let's see if I get more off with that. The funny thing is, well, I guess it's not funny. Be nice to your eyes, Amy. Be nice to your eyes. Is that the apple cider vinegar side feels tingly. I didn't have any of that feeling with the Garnier water. I don't know if that would be good or bad, how you would feel about that. I kind of like that little tingling. The next thing I would typically do, if I'm being super plain, I'm not going to do this at all. But if I'm just being a little bit plain, but I want to add just a little bit extra to my face, I would add maybe, what am I doing? This is a serum that I just put together. So I'm pretty sure, and I know that sounds terrible, what I'm pretty sure, some rosehip oil in it, some lavender, some water, some aloe vera, just things like that I've just mixed together, my own concoction. So I'm going to use that as just a little serum. I also think the viscosity, I'm pretty sure I added castor oil. So with this, I am, let's see, how do I want to do this? I am actually just going to pat it on because it is a little thick. And with my eyes being very delicate, with my eyes more patting. And I'm going to let that soak in. Now, if I'm being fancy, I'm going to use somebody else's serum. And this one happens to be, it's called Bloom. I don't even know if they make it anymore. This was from Young Living. I've had it for a while. Not saying anything yay or nay for that, but it is kind of fancy. And I'm just going like that. It's also kind of aromatic. Now, this one isn't quite as thick as the other one. So I don't think I have to be, pat it quite as much. It does smell good. I'll say that. All right. So now we've got our serums on. If I am being plain, I am going to go back and just use the coconut oil. But what I do with that is, well, I'll show you what I do with that. So plain, just a little, that's almost too much. And I have a little wooden utensil that I just keep in here so that I can scrape out the bottom. So I'm just going to take a little bit of coconut oil and then I'm going to spray. This is lavender and filtered water. So I'm just going to take that coconut oil, spray a little bit of this water and lavender oil, mix that in. Then that goes here. That's looking, this will take a while to soak in. And I might do some massaging. I especially like doing something like that if I'm not adding makeup. Say I'm just going to be working out in the yard or just a casual meetup, something like that. So that is all I do if I'm being plain. If I'm being fancy, I use anti-age and insane glow day balm. And this is from Froya. I'm sure you've all seen those Froya ads. I don't make any money from this. I do like it, but I also have other things that I use. I just wanted to be a little plain, even with my fancy. So I'm going to take, I also don't go in with my fingers, if you notice. I try not to use my fingers in any of my jars because I don't want to add any of my oils to any of these ingredients. So I just take this, I take the tiniest, and now I have to remember I'm only doing half my face. So even smaller dab, like so tiny. All right, did I wipe my hands off? I'm gonna wipe my hands off again just to get the extra stuff off. Okay, so this, I'm just going to put on my hand. Just, if it was for my whole face, I would use more than this, obviously. And I'm actually gonna take this again. So this is the lavender and water concoction. Just gonna spray it on there and then rub it around a little bit. I should have done this in the other hand because I'm not good with my left hand, but let's see. And again, just kind of pat it on to begin with. And I don't know if you can see this. It adds a little bit of color. I think you saw, it does have sort of a yellow-orange color to it. So it does add a little bit of color to your face, which is why sometimes, even if I'm being plain, I like to use this because I'm not sure if you can see it or not with this lighting, because it does add that extra color. So I got a couple of they look very greasy, but just so you know, I feel like if you just leave them on for a little bit, maybe keep just kind of patting everything in, when you finally if you're using makeup, you'll be able to blend everything in. You're not going to have this greasy face. I would do that, but I'm not going to right now. But I will not. Like, I'm telling you, by the time I get to work or by the time I'm meeting anyone, I don't look like this. I've added, under eye stuff and some blush, and then I have a really nice organic, just plain brush that I kind of use everything to blend, and it works very well. However, I will say that either one of these is fine by itself. I think this side is already less greasy looking just for the amount of time that it's been sitting on my face. I think this side might take a little bit longer because of the viscosity. Look at that word. That's pretty cool. So that's plain and fancy. I think that it's fine. Like some days, all I do is just the apple cider vinegar and the coconut oil. That's it. I think getting like the least thing that you can do. I think it's important to do something for your face. I also think it's important to understand what you're putting on your face and the ingredients in it. And maybe some days you're using something that has a lot of ingredients in it, a lot of things that have been developed in a lab or what have you. 100% do that. But then maybe every once in a while, give your face a little break and just do some very minimal, the very plain things, and just let your face be a little bit more au naturel. And that is it for today. Like, subscribe, all the things. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.